And now they don't work. Alright, welcome to CAD. The drawing I'm going to do is 7.44. It's a section. It's also called center bushing. I'm going to switch over here to my model view. Alright, I'm going to start with my front. Alright, the front's going to be the circles. They're labeled in diameter. I'm going to start from the outside, kind of work my way in. The biggest one is 4.75. Next one would be a section circle, or not section, center, sorry, 3.38. And then next one in would be 2 inch. And then inside of that would be 1.372. That one has the tolerance listed again. It can be plus or minus a certain number. I'll just give them with the flat number that gave me. So let me label these. 4.75, 338, 2, 1.372. Alright, now I'm going to do the center lines. I throw in a horizontal and a vertical. Then where the center lines I just did hit on the left, right, and bottom, I'm going to have counterbore holes. So from the front, they're going to have 2 different diameters, a smaller and a bigger. The bigger diameter is 0.75. The smaller diameter is 0.375. And once I have them here, I can use copy, place there, and place there. Alright, once I have these 3 counterbore holes, the top part here is different. There isn't a counterbore hole. There's kind of a cutout, almost like looks like a silhouette. I'll go back to my object layer. Alright, at this spot where the center lines meet up, it's labeled a radius. So let me switch to center radius. Not all the way up there on the center line. There we go. Radius is 0.24. Alright, now there's a whole section cut out here. On the paper it tells me the entire width from one side to the other is 1.12. It also tells me from the center to one side that's 0.56. So I'm going to use offset. I'm going to tell it 0.56. I'm going to offset the center line to one side and to the other. So I'll label those at 0.24 and 0.56. Alright, so the cutout isn't that entire width all the way up. Alright, it's going to get skinny to the diameter of the circle. Where it changes that, on the paper it tells me from the horizontal, it changes at 1.24 up. So I'm going to use offset, 1.24. I'm going to offset the horizontal line up. Alright, I labeled it. Now you could change the lines and trim. I'm going to draw over top of them so it's a little bit easier to see how I'm doing it or what I'm doing. So I went to my object layer. I'm going to start with the line. Let me zoom in. Alright, where the center lines I offset, the vertical ones hit the inside circle. I'm going to come up until I hit the one I offset horizontally. I'm going to bring the widest part of that small circle down and connect up. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So center line, wide part of circle, connect back up. Once I do that, I'm going to trim this circle. Make sure, yep, got it. I'm going to trim the top of those two circles. And then, because I drew over top of the lines, the center lines I offset, I can just delete. The last part I'll have to do is these corners, or if you think of it like a silhouette, like a person, their shoulders are going to be rounded. It tells me the radius is 0.12. So I do fillet, radius, 0.12. Click on the two lines. Click on the two lines. Alright, now, with rounding the corners, I threw in the dimensions for the radius here. I just extended those dimensions down. My front view is pretty much done. Only thing I gotta do is make my section line. So I'll just change the vertical. We're just gonna do a full section, slice it all the way down, top to bottom. Now I'll go insert, more options, add my arrow, adjust the size, and it'll be pointing to the left. Once I have one, I'll just take it and copy it up to the top. Alright, now the right side. I'm going to bring overall height over. Alright, the thickness for this back plate is 0.62. Now, when I bring over for the cylinder in the middle, it's going to be slightly different than what you would think. The outside one is diameter of 2, but the top of it's cut off. So over here, the width on the section view is going to be less than 2 because part of it's cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the bottom over. Alright, this is going to stick out 2 inches. And then for the top edge, I'm going to go with the top edge of where it's cut. So this is all empty space. Kind of topmost corner. Bring that over. That will also stick out too. Alright, so I'll label those thicknesses. Here's 0.62. And the entire thing, front to back, is 2.62. I'll go back to transferring lines over. So the top is from this corner here. Then I'm going to bring the inside circle. So I'll bring the bottom one over. That's going to go all the way through. So I did the top corner. So I'll do top corner of the smaller one. And line it up. Bring it over. That will go all the way back. Now this line, I'm going to trim right across there. Zoom out a little bit for you. So if you want to double check if you brought them over from the right spots, if I do a linear measurement of this front face, it's 1.8285. So it will be less than 2. Because again, top part is cut. Since I'm working on this cutout section, I'll bring over the other lines for kind of the silhouette here. Alright, this would all be one flat area. Next edge I would see would be this corner here where it goes from being wider to skinny. Then I'm into the skinny part. Next line I would see would be for the very top of this circle. I'm putting all those as object because we're going to cut this right side away. Hence the section view, the section line. So I'll be able to see all those lines. So I have the top part done. Last part for the section view is the countered board hole on the bottom. And from the bottom I would just see the one. I'm going to bring the big circle over. The depth of the bigger circle is 0.3. I'll bring the bottom. And then the smaller circle would go the rest of the way through. And I'll label the depth so that you can see it. It is 0.3. Once I do the counter bore, I can add in my hatching. Alright, the hatching is a little bit different on this one, just because there's more open space. Again, it doesn't tell us material, so I'm just going to use ANSI 31 and kind of work from the bottom. The first section is going to be solid and cut through. Next to here is where this hole is, so it's empty space. Next part is solid, so that's this section from here to here. This is empty space because it's a big hole in the middle. This is empty space because it's cut. This is empty space because it's this part right here. So the last part you need hatching would be the very top. That's the only other solid part that's being cut through. So your section view is not symmetrical. So the top doesn't look like the bottom. Alright, same thing. I paused. You can... Okay. everyone okay? Alright, so sorry about that. I kind of left it recording. So you get to stare at my screen for probably about a minute or two. Alright, so I have my front view done. I have my right side section view done. Last part's going to be my top view. I'm going to start it the same way I did my right. I'm going to bring up my width from my front. This part is 0.62 thick. This time the cylinder that sticks out, the width is going to be the true 2 inches. Let me zoom in a little bit. So the distance is going to stick out is going to be 2. Distance over, I can transfer it up. But it should be 2 inches. Connect up. Alright, I'm going to do the counterbore holes because there's going to be 3 of them. Let me move this down a little bit. Counterbore holes because there's going to be 3 of them. So once I do one, I can just copy it. There's going to be more lines for this cylinder and this cutout though. So I'm going to start by adding a center line through the middle, then a center line through each of these counterbore holes. And just changing the scale so I can get the dashed line. Mirror, flip it over. Alright, I could do the counterbore hole from scratch, but I'm smart/lazy, so I'm going to select the counterbore hole from my section view, and I'm going to copy it up into empty space. I'm then going to rotate it 90 degrees, change it to hidden, and then I'm going to use copy because I'm going to need 3 of them. And if I line it up and grab the midpoint between these 2 lines, so I went here over, midpoint down, there we go. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And then my counterbore holes are all done. Now I'm going to do the part that can seem a little tricky. So this cutout. I'm going to do the cylinder part first. The next lines, so this is the widest part. Then looking down from the top, I'm going to see this corner where the top sections cut away. I'm going to bring that up. From the very front to here is going to be object. The rest of the way through, because that's still cut through the back plate or back part, would be hidden. So there's that being cut all the way through. For the wide part of the inside circle will be beyond that line. So it's covered up by this little curve. So that's going to be a hidden line the whole way front to back. I'll take those and I'll use mirror and flip them to the other side. So I am about 95% done. I know it's looking confusing already. Last thing I have to do is this part here, the radius 0.24. That is going to be a hidden line. and it is going to go just through that back section. Again, you'll have one for both sides, so I mirrored it to the other side. Alright, I know there's a lot of lines. I'll have all the dimensions labeled on here. All the thicknesses are here. All of these diameters are labeled here, so I don't really need any dimensions in the top. So I'll zoom in so you can see. And this one's pretty much done. All we'd have to do is go to my layout, center it up, and then print her out.